McCartney suddenly found himself staring at a narrow, water-filled tube with no space for his head above the surface. He tried to back out, but the tight squeeze made reversing nearly impossible. A rush of panic hit him as the reality sank in. He was trapped in a flooded section with no air pocket in sight. His lungs screamed for oxygen as he held his breath, desperately trying to decide whether to push forward or retreat, but the bend ahead had turned into a deadly trap. Icy water surged over his face as he struggled against the jagged rock walls, his movements growing more frantic with every passing second. Oxygen deprivation began to set in, clouding his thoughts and slowing his reactions. And then, everything spiraled out of control. Heart pounding, McCain pushed upstream as fast as the narrow passage would allow, his breath quick and shallow. Finally, he rounded the bend, and his worst fears were confirmed. McCartney's movements were wild and uncoordinated, his strength fading with every second. McCain could only watch in helpless horror as his friend slipped beneath the surface. Seconds later, McCartney resurfaced, but this time he floated face down, limp and motionless against the cold stone wall. McCain and Sawyer surged forward, but the tunnel's unforgiving narrowness turned every second into a battle. The confined passage left barely enough room to move, and reaching McCartney felt like clawing through a stone coffin. The airspace was dangerously low, the water icy and relentless, and panic clawed at the edges of their minds. Then, Sawyer cracked. Overwhelmed by the suffocating rock walls and the chaos unfolding around him, he lost control for a moment. Thrashing, he slipped under the freezing water. His muffled struggles echoed through the cramped passage until he managed to surface in a tiny air bell, gasping for breath. But the damage was done. His helmet and light were gone, swallowed by the darkness. Blood trickled down his face where the jagged rock had sliced his skin.